So if you want to learn more about how to cope in a challenging situation in your life, stay tuned for this video. I give you a couple of tricks that I try myself. I like Chris Peterson's definitions of resilience, first of all. He says resilience means to struggle well. So coping has something to do with struggling. In my video, 5 Ways to Navigate Life's Disruptions, I was talking about the reality that we all hit times where life does not go according to plan, but where we are thrown into a different direction. It may be a job loss or relationship issues or endings or health issue. These are the limits and the times where we need good coping mechanisms to help us keep our head above water, or should I say, struggle well, until we find stable footing again. So in this video, I want to explain to you a couple of typical coping styles and how to possibly strengthen them. And also, I want you to look at which ones fit to you so that you are a little bit more prepared when things go sideways in the future. So what are coping mechanisms? It's a term that has become quite fashionable in recent years with the COVID crisis and political uncertainty and climate change. Coping, according to the Webster Dictionary, means to meet a challenge or to strike or fight back. So in our case, it means to handle a disruptive event or time in your life and to do something about it instead of letting it determine or ruin you. So over the years, researchers came up with 5 typical coping styles that we have, or most of us use. And having a look through those, I find very interesting because I want to see which ones is actually the one that I'm leaning to. And I'm inviting you to do the same thing. So these coping styles focus either on emotions or on problem solving or on meaning or on support seeking or on avoidance. And I'm going to explain them briefly to you. So they can't be seen in pure isolation. They all sort of go with each other. But it is a great thing to look which ones are you mostly going for. So emotions-focused coping means that you concentrate mostly on the messy emotions going along with a disruption, like fear or anger or sadness or frustration. So we all go through those emotions, and we need first to be okay with it, that they are there. We can't push them away. They are part of the process. And in this coping mechanism, you look basically for ideas how to deal with the emotional side of having a problem in your life. And that's a good thing. The only thing that you need to be mindful of is if you get stuck in those emotions, if you keep looping back to the emotions and addressing the emotions or rather than the problem, then you might not move forward. So be mindful of that. The next one is the problem focused. This is something I know from my family because my daughter is a very logic person. When she hits a challenge, she becomes very calm and then she thinks very logically, okay, how do I address this? If this doesn't work, what can I do? What else is for me possible to do? And I'm always gobsmacked how structured she approaches that. But with that, she comes up with good ideas. The only thing you have to be mindful here is that doesn't leave a lot of time for emotions because you're really in your head, you're in thinking mode. And that is okay as long as you don't sweep your emotions under the rug. See, so it's like a zigzag a little bit. The third one, meaning-focused coping strategies or styles, that is me. This is the one that I use because I often, when I have a problem, like having to wear this neck gaiter at the moment, I'm asking myself, okay, I have an injury. What am I meant to learn from this? Why is this slowing me down? What is the message behind this problem? This is a spiritual approach. And Kelly McGonigal, a researcher, actually proves that if you give a stressful event in your life meaning, the stress is less harmful. And that's what I'm using. It calms me down because it gives me an outside perspective. So meaning as my go-to place. Another one is social support, one that I also like to use. I draw on friends and on my family when something hits me. Mostly I call my best friend and sort of lay the problem out and then sort it through with her so that I get an idea on how to move. She's actually mostly just listening, but it's giving me the support that I need to get myself going again. One thing that I'd like you to be aware of here is the use of social media. So if you post about a problem you have and that's hitting you personally, you might get replies, you might get reactions or comments, but be mindful of how many of those people actually swing in to help you. So look for people who you can actually lean onto when you look for social support. And the last coping mechanism that I want to quickly talk about is avoidance-focused coping. And as the word already says, you're avoiding it. Unfortunately, it's not a very healthy coping strategy because you face a problem and you look away at the same time. So there's a letter from your bank and you know that you have exceeded your overdraft, and instead of opening it and facing the music, you ignore the letter and just don't open it. Or a doctor calls you and says, hey, you have to come back to the practice, we need to talk about your blood results, and you just simply don't make an appointment. This literally means you're avoiding the problem. The urge to run away or to go into la-la mode for a while is totally normal because it's uncomfortable. However, at some stage, you need to go into action so you can resolve the problem. Other coping mechanisms in that category are drinking, gambling, overeating. That, as you know, doesn't help you solve the problem. It actually makes it worse. So try to avoid the avoidance tragedy. So most likely we use a mix of the different coping mechanisms. But as I said, I have tendencies or preferences towards one or the other. And that is good to know because I want you then to strengthen exactly those areas. For me, that means that I use my spirituality not only when I'm in coping mode, but I strengthen that muscle inside myself so I can lean onto it when something happens. Same with family, for example. I am there for them as well. I'm just a pillar in their lives so that they know they can rely on me and I can rely on them. That helps me then in times of difficulties. So what is yours? What is your muscle that you can strengthen to get fit for the change or the difficulty that will jump up at some stage and we don't know when? Because when you do that, it helps you to be a bit more confident because you, after the initial shock of, oh my God, what just happened? Then you go into, okay, what are the mechanisms that I can use to get myself out of this situation? And trust me, you will. Okay? Thanks for watching.